fate of a Stormbringer, and countless lives, dozens of PCs, and multiple Dungeons and Dragons campaigns hangs in the balance, and we're playing Dragon Rampant to decide which way the scales of the universe will tip, towards law or chaos. But before we get started, there's a couple of other little things we got to talk about to keep myself honest and keep myself on track. I have a series of event cards here. Now, there are 5 to 7 events in here. Some of these are blank, and I have the actual date written on here, September 22nd. That's today. Turn 1, we have nothing, which is fine. But I've got these already numbered, so I can't cheat. And then we have a couple of fun little things that are going to happen as well. So keep that in mind that with each passing day, we will reveal one new surprise. As you can see, our cosmic battlefield is littered with planets, and we're falling into the sun. Amaron, what's his name? Aminar. Here he is in the flesh. He's a little bendy because he's one of those trash Reaper Bones figures, but I need a Quetzalcoatl. I need a winged feathered rainbow serpent. Aminar is taking the form of the rainbow serpent today instead of his usual hawk-headed man from Egyptian mythology. Over on the right flank, the forces of law have stationed Mendonio. He is an elite foot with magic armor, magic strength. He rerolls missed hits, and he's got a magic bow. It's a special item. You'll see how that works here in a little bit. He is backed up by a unit of 9,000 heavy infantry. In the center, we've got the leader of the forces of law. This is Aminar. Aminar is fighting for his own life here because Aminar is the star towards which the sword Stormbringer is plunging. If he can get the sword, get it off his table edge, then he can prevent the great big ball of gas that is his heart from being stabbed by the soul-drinking demon in sword form. He is in the center. And over here in the back, you can see the war elephants. They're greater war beasts. We've got some shooter light cavalry, and then we've got some heavy. Well, actually, they are called cataphract horse for the elite riders. The veteran horse archers, elite horse. You can tell the difference. There's only 2 strips versus 3 strips over here. And then just over here on the left flank to keep things secure, we've got one more unit of 9,000 foot. Remember, this is an adjunct to or an extension of an ongoing D&D campaign, and in that D&D campaign, for every week, the clerics and paladins and all of their retinues pray to the gods. They will generate another unit of another angelic host of either heavy infantry or elite riders. So as we go through this game, every turn is going to represent one day, and because of this tabletop situation, after a week, another unit will spawn, and then after another week, if we get to turn 14, a second unit will spawn. So the good guys do have some reinforcements coming on. So do the forces of law. So do the forces of chaos. Once again, starting on the right-hand side, working our way from the right flank to the left flank, we've got a unit of demons. These are classed as bellicose foot. They have an armor of 3. This is the goddess Blub Blub Blub, and she has the ability to summon basically space lobsters to fight on her behalf. These are lesser war beasts. These are wyverns with riders. They are cunning, they're venomous, and they can fly. Lesser war beasts. We've got a unit of 3,000 Knoll bowmen. But they are sharpshooters, so light missiles, sharpshooters, hitting on 4s. And then you've got a unit of 100 Celestial Giants. These Celestial Giants are greater war beasts. They're the only ones. Bear in mind, this is, again, another unit of 8,000 demons. These guys, no, these are the heavy foot. These are the big punchers. I got that backwards. I got to swap these out here real quick. These guys are the heavy punchers. You can see they are jammed up on top of each other. So the difference is these figures are jammed up. These are spaced out. So you've got the 10,000 heavy foot versus the bellicose foot over on the wings. The heavy foot are offensive. They have an attack value of 4. Let me check my notes here real quick. The bellicose foot have an armor of 3, so that's the difference. We are going to be using
Casualty Markers. Remember, everybody has 12 hit points in this fight. When we reach our third, we'll take away a guy. So they will cover less real estate as well. When we are down to just 2 stands, we'll know that these guys are only rolling 6 dice instead of their 12. The only figures that we're not doing that for are the special characters, who, if they are elite foot, Bell here, he is the general of the Forces of Chaos. We will simply have to use casualty dice or some other marker to keep track of how many wounds these guys have taken. These are astral sharks. They are lesser war beasts, and they are cunning. And then finally over here we have just this one last unit of bellicose foot. Now, the whole point of today's exercise is get the MacGuffin, Stormbringer, and get it off your table edge. That's how you win. There is a clock. There's a shot clock. There's a timer. The good guys have to do that by the end of turn 21.
Which leads to the obvious question of where is Stormbringer to start with? Well, let's take a look first at what Stormbringer looks like on my tabletop. I don't have a dedicated sword that I can use, so I'm just using this token. It's got a sword on it. It's close enough. It's not going to start there in the center of the table. Instead, kind of looking at the overall situation and how this is developed, remember that the forces of law were the first ones to start chasing after Stormbringer. But this being a war, if you will, a cosmic war, the enemy gets a vote as well, which means you're not guaranteed to get anything you want. Remember that this battlefield is in a decaying orbit. It's actually moving through space. All movement is relative to each other, okay? So just keep that in mind as well. And what I'm going to do to figure out the true starting position of Stormbringer is roll a red d6. I'm going to move the token 6 inches in that direction. I am going to roll 2d6 and designate this side of the table 12. And we're going to move it in the clock face direction. Now, you'll note that with 6, 7, and 8 kind of in this direction, 5, 6, and 7, it's more likely to move towards the forces of law. That's how we're tipping the scales a little bit since they got the early jump. But there's no guarantees. So we roll our dice and we get a 3. We move it 5 inches. And that means Stormbringer is going to start up here. Kind of looking at the situation just impartially, who's got the advantage? I think you have to give it to the Forces of Chaos right out of the gate because they've got 2 units of Zoomies, 2 lesser war beasts moving 6 inches a turn. It's not going to take them long to grab this guy. They're not the strongest units, though, so even if they get it, there's a good chance that our Forces of Law are going to be able to get on top. It's all going to come down to the dice rolls and all going to come down to the activations. And with 21 turns, I think we have enough time to get through this. But couple of other things we're going to do. Because we've got literal gods on the table, in addition to their standard ability, any unit within 3 inches of the leaders, that's Bell over here and Aminar over here, if you're within 3 inches of those leaders, and we'll go with the hero too, Mandonio, and blah, 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 you get a +1 to your activations. That'll make it a little bit easier for everybody to activate. Things will move a lot faster, and hopefully we can come to a conclusion. Well, I guarantee we're going to come to a conclusion, because even if we make it to that final turn and nobody has moved Stormbringer off the table, the game's going to be over. Which also gives these guys an advantage, because all they got to do is delay. If they can just keep Stormbringer on the table until October 12th, it's the end of the game. By the way, for those that don't know, we're only going to play 1 turn today. Yeah, that's right. This battle is happening in real time. 1 turn on the table takes 1 day in the real world. That is going to have some ramifications for the tabletop role-playing games. There are multiple D&D campaigns that are watching this like a hawk. So that's it for the prep. Let's go ahead and get started with the first turn. Notice from the dice that just magically appeared in the corners, red dice are going to be for our forces of hell, red demon leader. Blue dice are going to be for our forces of law. Every day we're going to draw a new card. This is a random event card. And on the first day, at least, we have no random events. So now we can roll for initiative. You know which dice is which. The guys that go first, whoever rolls higher is going to go first. And we get a 7 and a 4. So not only do they have the Zoomers, but the Forces of Chaos today are going to get the first activation. We're going to start by moving our lesser war beasts up. First the swimmers, then the flyers. Normally, these guys activate on a... Well, we can check our distances here. Are we within 3? We are, and we are. So basically, all of these guys here in the center, and I think these guys as well, the only guys that don't get the bonus +1 to activate are over here. In addition to that, remember that Bell, let's see, does he have any?
He does not. His counterpart over there, Aminar, does get one free move activation that he can give. So we're going to roll for these guys. Normally, lesser war beasts move on a 6. They're going to move on a 5. And just like that, the forces of hell stumble right out of the gate. Aminar, in his winged serpent rainbow feather form, gets one free move activation order that he can make. He is going to order his greater war beasts. These guys are heavy hitters. They move 5 inches. They automatically get to move. Suddenly the fight looks a lot more fair, doesn't it? Mandonio is going to have to move next. He activates on a 5. He does not get the bonus. With a 5 he does, and as an elite foot, he is able to move 3 inches. I am playing at half scale because I'm using 15 millimeters for my heroes. Oh, let's see where exactly he winds up, shall we? And then these heavy foot are going to follow suit. They have a +1. With an 11, they are going to move up 3 inches, so they still have his back. That brings us back down over here. We're going to go ahead and try to bring our... Well, let's move Aminar up. And with a result of a 2, that ends the turn. Now, I know this went really quickly today. And some of these turns, that's going to happen. It's all right. Tune in tomorrow when we play out the second turn, September 23rd, of The Fate of Stormbringer. Until tomorrow, I'm praying for you.